Hello everyone and welcome into another edition of School Talk here live from the WJHI studios. I'm Clay Abels and with us today we have our Superintendent of Greater Clark County Schools, Mr. Mark Loeffner. How are we doing today, sir?
Great. Thanks for having me back.
Excited to have you in here. Only 9 days of school left from May the 12th where we're at today. I want to start, we got a lot of topics to go over. You guys just had a school board meeting on Tuesday. First topic I want to get to from that school board meeting is looking at the calendar. I know you made some revisions for next year. Tell us a little bit about what calendar changes are changing from next year and what the reasons are behind it.
Well, yeah, let's go back in time a little bit. A lot of people ask, well, why'd you try to have school on Oaks Day? You know, we hadn't done that in the past. Other school districts around us do. I mean, there are school districts, neighboring districts that go to school on that day. One of the reasons we did it and built it into the calendar this year was because of testing, frankly. The iLearn test changed to where students get unlimited time on their iLearn testing. You know, and it was taking a whole lot more time and more days. And when you have Oaks Day and the primary election day in the same week that are also both in the testing window for iLearn, we were afraid that was going to create problems in terms of getting all of our students tested. Now that we've been through it a couple years, we feel like we can make the adjustment back to having Oaks Days off. That's what we did Tuesday night. So now, for next year, all students and staff were going to have President's Day off. Instead, we're now going to go to school on President's Day, just like we did this year. We had something unique built in for next year's calendar also, and many people may not realize this. We had this happen, 5 or 6 years ago, that there's another solar eclipse day coming on April 8th. And for schools, that was, let me just put it straightforward, very difficult and challenging because parents want to pull their kids out to go see. We had an issue with the glasses that we had purchased that weren't the right ones. You know, so we decided early on that we were just going to take that day off and parents can go, you know, see the solar eclipse wherever they want to go. So now, you know, we'll be off that day. It was going to be a teacher work day, but now we'll be off on April 8th, the solar eclipse day. Obviously, in future calendars, we won't need to be taking that day off, and we'll probably kick that day off to President's Day, you know, when you get into the following year's calendars. And then now with the update on the calendar, we'll have Oaks Day off next year, and then on the primary election day, that will be a teacher work day. You know, so we tried to listen to our teachers, listen to our community. It's unfortunate we had to put those 4 schools on e-learning on that Oaks Day, but we made it through it. We've made the adjustment, you know, and we think it's an adjustment that will work for everybody in future calendars.
One thing I wanted to bring up when we move forward, we talk about Tuesday's school board meeting with facilities. One thing that was brought up there is Cord and Porter auxiliary service buildings. There's going to be some changes there, taking that building down. What is the future plan for auxiliary services and how all that's going to come together?
Yeah, and let me say one more thing on the calendar. Nothing else on the calendar has changed. The start date, the finish date's before Memorial Day weekend. We still have the 1 week of fall break. Then we're off the whole week of Thanksgiving. There's no pre-planned e-learning days. However, we still will use e-learning days for inclement weather or power outages or things of that nature. So nothing else changed on the calendar. Just wanted to make that clear. As far as Cord and Porter, one of the things that we've been challenged with down there is, since it's downtown, Franklin Square is downtown now, is having enough parking and staging for cars. You know, and we tried to sell that building for the last year. We've been trying to sell it, and we didn't have any takers. You know, and no offers that we were able to close on. You know, so we made a decision. Let's go ahead and demolish that building so we have more parking and also more room for staging of cars. And that's the plan this summer. That'll be done this summer. And then auxiliary services. That's a building that's not being used right now. We have like 2 or 3 people in there from SMS who does our custodial. We feel like we could move them to Fetter, you know, where we have plenty of room there for office space and storage and their supplies. So we're going to move them to Fetter. We're going to go ahead and demolish the auxiliary services building, make that parking for the new tennis courts and facility, and also it would be parking for the new pool when it's built, and we will need extra parking in that area. So that's the plan. You know, it's really for extra parking, and it's 2 buildings that we're really not using. When you look at the financial side of it, we're spending about $70,000 to $80,000 a year to keep those buildings functional, and they're not being used, and we couldn't sell them. So we're going to go ahead and demolish them and make them, make it a parking lot.
Now that actually leads me to my next topic about going with facilities. About done with Jeffersonville tennis facility. I saw a few weeks back Utica's classrooms, those were all finished off. Just speaking on those two projects before we talk about the natatorium and some of the other things, those are the closest ones to being done. How do those things turn out? I know online they look great, but tell me from your perspective how it turned out.
Well, slower than I would have liked. That's one thing I'm learning in this job is school construction takes a whole lot more time than I wish. I wish we could move through things faster, but the tennis facility is going to be fantastic. I mean, when they put the color down on the courts and just the building, they painted the brick. I mean, it's going to be a beautiful facility. The classrooms at Utica are great classrooms. They're big, spacious. They'll be great for our kindergarten, pre-K programming there, and there's a severe profound room there. And the same at Riverside. Those classrooms will be done within the next probably 3 or 4 weeks. The tennis facility will be done by the first or second week of June completely. The classrooms at Utica are already done. They're moving very quickly at North Haven. There will be 4 classrooms in the old gym that will be turned into kindergarten classrooms that are going to be really nice. And then they'll get a new gym on the backside. That's that construction going on the backside of North Haven. So all of them, they're going to be really well done. Great new spaces for our students and staff. Will allow us to increase our pre-K enrollment and also allow us room for any expected growth in the future.
Now I know for you, when you look future down the road, you talk about taking time. Something that's going to take a lot of time certainly is Jeffersonville's natatorium. I know you're trying to still get done with the athletic facilities, Charlestown, Jeffersonville. Kind of give people an overview where we're at in that process as of today.
Right now for the natatorium, we're finishing up the design. It's really, on our side of things, the school side of things, we've already communicated to the architect and reviewed the plans that he originally had, and said this is, we've told him our last call of here's what we want. So they're finalizing the designs. They're finalizing the drawings to get them ready to be bid out. That's going to take 3 or 4 months for them to do that. We expect for the drawings to be done sometime around October. Then the bids go out sometime in November, December. And then hopefully, weather pending, they could get, once the bids come in, they could get a construction start date and plan together. Hopefully that's sometime in February, March of next year. And then it'll take them, 12 to 16 months to get it done at least. So, we're hoping they start construction as early next year as possible.
Now, when all this is said and done, I know some of the projects you mentioned are about done. What do you hope adds to the school system in terms of selling people to bring their kids here? I know for you now it's not just about K through 12 anymore, it's about the preschool side of things. How do you think all of these developments help bring people into the school system?
Well, one thing, the facility updates were needed. I mean, whether it's the tennis courts or the football stadium, going back to that, the current pool's in very poor shape. Those things were needed. The deal at North Haven, they needed more room in their cafeteria and more kitchen space. And what we're doing there will allow for that. The projects we're doing at River Valley and Charlestown to renovate some of those spaces that didn't get renovated before. I mean, all those things needed to be done. Obviously, it also helps with attracting families and students that, hey, this school district's committed to having nice facilities for their kids, and not just the kids, but having nice facilities for the community to use. I mean, those tennis courts are going to be used by the community. We want them to be used by the community. The natatorium, we want the community to use that natatorium as much as possible. So, that it adds that element, that you're trying to attract people not only to our school district, but also to live in Jeffersonville and live in Charlestown and live in Clarksville when we build the new Parkwood. And so that's a piece that sometimes people forget. In the pre-K, as a school district, the state of Indiana has created a new dashboard, data dashboard, where parents can get on it and look at how schools are doing, individual schools and school districts. One of the metrics or indicators on that dashboard is kindergarten readiness. So they measure what percentage of your students show up to kindergarten ready for kindergarten, based on different, a checklist of factors. So we feel like if we expand our pre-K program and they're with us in our schools in pre-K, more kids are going to end up being kindergarten ready because we're controlling, what they're learning, making sure they learn the checklist that they need to learn in terms of colors and shapes and numbers and things like that.
Here today on School Talk with Mr. Mark Loeffner, our superintendent of Greater Clark County Schools, talking a little about facilities and development here in the school system. And our last main topic we're going to go over now is looking at the end of the year. I know as of today we've got 9 days left. Tell me a little bit about, with graduations, parents, staff members, all that type of thing, students especially, what do people need to keep in mind here at the end of the school year with graduation, all that type of stuff? I know the information is on the school calendar for the times, but what do people need to keep in mind?
Finish up strong, make sure their child's getting everything done they need to get done so they can graduate on time and they're not having to drag it out through the summer. Just make sure their child's finishing what they need to finish. And just realize, during graduation, like here at Jeff High, parents get 4 tickets. That's just space related, and I know that upsets some people, but we only have so much space. The unique thing here at Jeff High that I find interesting is the carryover from COVID, that we still have some of the walking graduations, and
yes,
that parents still want to do that. I find that very unique. I'm glad we're giving that option to parents. It's probably an option I, as a kid, my parents would have taken, is, hey,
right,
let's go and do the walking graduation, get the pictures and everything we need, and then let's go celebrate. And so we're trying to provide options to parents and kids, but really my message would be just to the parents, enjoy it, and make sure their child finishes strong these last couple weeks.
And as I said, a reminder, those graduation dates and times, that's on the school calendar to look on Greater Clark's website. Some of the other things we wanted to finish up with today, I know you mentioned before the show, talking about some of the things we're leading in. When you look at Greater Clark and our academy model, tell me, I know we've mentioned before about all the new facilities and things that are added in with the academy, some of the partnerships you've made. How do you want to continue to grow that here with our academy at Greater Clark?
Well, one thing I will say is the academy model and the pathway model that we use in Greater Clark is outstanding. It's unique around the state, and one of the data points that shows that is our graduation rates. We have the highest non-waiver graduation rates in the area, and it's because of the academy model and the pathways, because students can get in a grad pathway, and if they take all the stackable courses in that grad pathway, then they can graduate and get their diploma by doing that. And it's something very unique that other districts around us do not have. One of the things that we need to ramp up, and we were doing it before COVID, and COVID sort of brought it to a halt, is we want to sort of do a call to action for the businesses in our area, whether it's River Ridge or in Jeffersonville, Charlestown, Clarksville, to work with Greater Clark, work with Jeff High, Charlestown High, New Washington High, to build more job shadowing experiences, work-based learning experiences, and those type of partnerships, apprenticeship experiences. We want that for our students, and we want business partners to come to us. And if a business partner is interested, they need to reach out to Brian Reed, who's our district academy and CTE coordinator, or reach out to one of the academy coaches at each high school. But we're really trying to ramp up businesses that will bring students in for job shadowing experiences, work-based learning experiences, apprenticeships. And we're flexible. We're willing to look at a student's schedule, and make sure that we provide a schedule for that student to make that happen. We want our students out in the workforce learning on the job experience while still getting their graduation, the credits they need to graduate.
Now, this is the last topic we have here because I know you've got to run. You talk about people building for the future with business, but also into the workforce. Earlier this week, had a cool moment, the Excel Award going to Colonel Benning. I know you were here in the Jeffersonville Auditorium. Not every day you get to have one of those inside the school. Tell me, from your standpoint as a superintendent, what's it like to see a teacher get that award and what Colonel Benning's accomplished here at Jeffersonville?
Well, for me to see Colonel Benning, number one, I know how hard he works, and how much he's in the community, so he's very deserving. But anytime you're acknowledged in that way as a teacher, it's special, because that comes from your colleagues and your students, and so that's a huge achievement. I hope he gets in the running for the state award. I think
absolutely
he's that kind of person, that kind of caliber, that what he does should be recognized not just in the local area but also on the state level. So it's a huge achievement, and I'm glad he works for us, here at Jeffersonville High School.
Well, Mr. Lofter, I know you got a busy end of the school year here. I appreciate you coming in, and like you said, a lot on the calendar, but definitely a fun way to end the year, to say the least. So excited to have you in.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's Mark Lofter, our superintendent of Greater Clark County Schools, with us today. I'm Clay Abels here on School Talk. Reminder, you can watch School Talk on cable 184, also available on the radio at WJHI 98.5 FM or streaming audio at WJHI.com. Also replayed on our social media platforms. For Mr. Lofter, I'm Clay Abels saying so long and thank you for tuning in to another edition of School Talk right here on WJHI.